What were you in? What were you in Korea for? Was it for Johnny Somali?
I'm doing the Johnny Somali documentary.
Oh shit! Have you gotten a chance to like talk to him a bunch and stuff?
Yeah, no, I spent a week with him. I like hung out with him every single day, and Hank, the Asian Nazi.
Okay.
For your reference, June, because you just said who.
Yeah.
Johnny Somali.
Who is this?
Johnny Somali is a IRL streamer who is basically trapped in North or South Korea because he has committed a bunch of crimes and is awaiting trial and sentencing on some, trial on others. And he got kicked off of Kick. He has like no way to make any money. So he like goes on the Asian Nazis stream and does stuff like, walk around in his underwear in public and then gets arrested again and gets new charges. And he's just like trapped there and is almost definitely going to go to jail for a decade. And
this is just
really
so
nuts.
sad.
It's like
sad.
the era of these fucking idiots that like go outside and like harass people for money. Because the other guy, completely unrelated to this, but Vitaly, Russian guy, he's going through the same thing in the Philippines where there's rumors that he could be in jail for like 23 years for this.
I saw that. Is he getting put in jail for like other IRL stream reasons?
Yeah.
Because
He
committing
just terrorized people on the streets. He like ran up to someone, like tried to take their purse, like just like
it's just a prank, bro.
And filming all of it.
IRL stream is when I film myself doing crimes and getting arrested for it.
I mean, so the thing that got Johnny Somali in trouble is that he went to a among other things, he went to a monument for Korean women who were basically forced into sexual slavery during World War II and twerked all over it and filmed it. And as you might imagine,
covered himself with baby oil too.
Yeah. Yes.
Come on.
And as you might imagine, people were unhappy about it.
Yeah, that's like why they were okay with what's the fucking Japanese prime minister that got assassinated, because he was like
Shinzo Abe.
they were like Shinzo was like kind of okay with the like slave cults, slave cult,
the comfort girls,
comfort girls. So when he got assassinated, everyone was like, well, he was like okay with the comfort girls. That's fucking crazy that people just will debase themselves.
Can I say one thing about this though?
Yeah, please.
I would love to represent them. I would love to represent. This sounds like it'd be so much fun to represent them in court, because I really think you could push the bounds of being like, what is performance art?
Oh yeah.
Johnny's lawyer is very like an elderly Korean man. He doesn't speak directly to Johnny. He speaks only to Hank, and Hank translates it vaguely. I'm still trying to translate whatever the fuck that lawyer said. But I filmed a lot with him. It was really interesting. Someone punched him in the face while we were filming. Someone just ran up and punched him in the face.
Oh, that's the other thing you should know, June, is that everyone in Korea hates them. So like so Korean social media people have like put a bounty on his head. So people get money if they see him in public and beat the shit out of him.
What? Are you kidding me?
No, I'm dead serious.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So he's like a wanted man both by the public and by the cops.
South Korea loves vigilante justice. Apparently, that's hilarious. This is really sad that like, I mean, he's doing it himself. This man is putting himself in this situation, but it's crazy that he is that widely hated. He is known in the entire country and despised. That's wild.
Mr. Bass should be more hated. He's done way worse things than Johnny Somali, in my opinion.
Yeah, welcome back to Western Kabuki. As always, this week we have Alex Goldman. How are you doing?
I am doing fine. I am dreading / excited for today's topic, because it seems like it's just like all the world's human sadness sort of laid bare in a horrible way, but also it's like incredibly important to know this stuff is going on, in my opinion. So
absolutely. Yeah, no, this is specifically who we're going to be talking about today, Mr. Based. I had no fucking clue who this guy was up until Lolo. You brought this up to me during the live show, like that weekend. Also, how you doing, Lolo? Yeah, that was the first time I ever heard of this shit.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
I'm great. I've been doing IRL streaming in Central Park, and people have just been coming up to me and kicking me in the genitals.
They're trying to crucify you.
And I get paid $5 every time that happens. So it's been pretty good.
So really, it's worthwhile. It's worth every bruise you get.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be producing any children. That's fine.
It's always I don't know if you've ever seen those, like, I always see these people on Instagram where they like do insane, like not even pranks, but just like basically jackass type stuff to themselves, like basically bowling balls to the balls, and like Rube Goldberg machines that end with their balls getting crushed. And I don't understand people like that. I guess maybe they don't want kids or something like that. And we have Alex number 4. How are you doing today, Caleb?
I'm hanging in. Every time we get adjacent to this kind of sort of content, the lolcow stuff, I always get super depressed. But I'm really excited to get this kind of done and maybe have some laughs on the way.
Yeah, I know. I think we've probably brought it up before, but for a while we've wanted to broach the topic of like Chris Chan in the past, but it's that like lolcows are so hard to talk about in like an ethical way.
We've never actually talked about it on this show, but let's just say I could have been a very large part of Christery, we'll say, based on some information that I found uncovered, and I decided, not for me. Don't want to be involved. Yeah,
it's such a, I don't know, depressing, sad world that as long as the internet exists, I feel like we'll always be part of the ecosystem, which is kind of depressing. And with us today to walk us through this journey of specifically Mr. Bass, but this world in general, we have another Alex Novell, documentarian, YouTuber. How are you doing today?
So great. So excited to, in the world of lolcows, they call it touching poop. So I'm glad to just get elbow deep in the poop with you guys.
God. That was really what, like, this whole, like, learning about Mr. Bass, like, this man, before I feel like, for me, I had no fucking clue who this was. So, but I think before we jump in too much, I want to like talk about who he is at first.
I just want to say really quick to call out something that made me laugh so fucking hard when I was prepping for this episode. On his Wikipedia, his website is listed as the previous owner pre-1997 of pussy.com. This guy he's all over the place.
Lucrative businessman, with a very, very storied history on the internet.
You can make a lot of money with a website where it took you like 6 minutes to download one still image of a pussy back then.
It was, if you were first to the internet, it was like you could really stake out a claim and make, like, frankly, thousands and thousands just for owning a couple of words. It's kind of wild that time is like way past us at this point. Like, I feel like people don't really, like, younger people don't really know the, like, was that like the .com boom? Was that part of that?
Yeah, like totally. When the World Wide Web came into being, people started when I was making Reply All, I found the guy who owned replyall.com. He was like a Facebook employee, and I was like, "Hey, will you sell this to us?" And he was like, "Yes." I think he was like $34,000, and I was like, "Well, I'm not going to buy it, but I am going to write an article on our website about it." And I put his email up there, and he sent me this super angry email, which was like, "Take it the fuck down! What are you doing putting my email address up there?" And I was like, "Well, you didn't sell it to me, and you didn't say I couldn't use it, so you knew I was a journalist." Tough shit.
I was doing a little research over here. Just wanted to note that pussy.com is indeed active.
Oh, that's good.
But all right, let's check it out.
But there's also there's a forum, and I don't know what this forum is, so if it's like a problematic forum, please don't. I've never been on this forum before.
The pussy.com forum.
It's called gofuckyourself.com. And someone in 2012 has a post saying, "I know I'm a noob in the business here, but I think with a domain like pussy.com, you should be able to earn back $3.5 million within a reasonable amount of years."
I just decided to check out pussy.com, and then I realized I was searching that on my work laptop. Immediately regret that as soon as I saw the webpage load. But no, this guy has been like, Mr. Bass has kind of been a huge like player in the world for like decades at this point.
Well,
like,
when he's like out of prison, which is for like stints of time.
Yeah, but he was the so before he became this like really depraved like IRL streamer, he was like a basically what amounted to like a pimp for like a prostitute agency. When how long was that ago? Like in the 90s, 2000s?
Can you tell us about that, Alex?
So what started off as like a phone sex operation and like just really aggressive phone sex marketing eventually turned into like a very lucrative prostitution ring in New York City in the early 2000s. So originally, Jason had gone away to prison for smuggling ecstasy into America. Jason being Mr. Based. At the time, he was just young Jason Itzler. So he got arrested for smuggling ecstasy. After that, he kind of transitioned into doing the call girl centers, and from there into the prostitution. And yeah, it was just early 2000s. It was like early internet, and he was reaching out to people on the phone and like hard selling them over the phone on prostitution.
You included some clips of who I have to assume had to have been a documentarian at the time, like filming his operation, and it was really bizarre watching him, like literally pull up his phone and talk about women. Like I got like some like he would the way he would describe women that he was gonna like prostitute out to his clients was kind of stunning and unreal. That he was like living this. I don't know.
He had almost
this,
like
this absurd life
situation going on.
Yes.
Where he was like using his models to recruit. Knew he wanted them. He very nasty man, obviously, as you'll learn, but very nasty way of doing business where he's describing his women. He wants them women that you wouldn't normally associate with, escorting. And so he wants them young and fresh, as he says, which is just stinky, nasty.
Another important thing to note here that shines light on the Josh Block stuff later on is that the main, his like bottom bitch per se, was this woman named Natalia. And he had her addicted to heroin. He was not paying her any money. And he would send her on calls so she would see 3 clients at 2-hour minimums. So that's 6 hours. 6 hours. And then he would have her do an overnight after that every day. And so her only respite from that was heroin. And he like repeatedly just provided her with all the drugs she could do and kept her complacent. So she was making him as much money as possible, which is like an exact parallel of what we see, 20 years later with Josh Block.
Yeah, I thought that was like really good setup in your documentary to talk about this like pattern of behavior he has of essentially always like pimping other people out for his own benefit. And that like he's basically doing this today too. So the reason we're talking about him today, Mr. Based, is because his like current like I hate describing it this way, but like his cash cow right now is doing IRL streaming with this this kid. Well, he's not a kid; he's like 24 or something like that. Named Joshua Block. I guess he goes by World of T-shirts. I had never heard of him, but he's like a New York famous guy, right? Like it seems like in any video of him, he was like very well.
For people
Can you describe World of T-shirts for us?
Yeah, I don't really know who he is. Yeah.
World of T-shirts is a very, very, very popular autistic TikToker who lives, who's from Ronkonkoma, New York, from Long Island. And he became really, really popular originally for singing that Empire State of Mind really loud and obnoxiously.
In New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's
And then what happened was he started going to Mexico before he was even 21 so that he could drink legally in Mexico, because this kid loves to follow he didn't want to break the law. And he would go to Mexico and get hammered. And people would post these TikToks. I saw World of T-shirts at my all-inclusive in Mexico, and he was throwing up all over the ground and pissing himself. And everyone was like, holy crap. And then he turned 21. It was like all hell broke loose. He became this like autistic, drunk lolcow, terrorizing the streets of New York.
I would just also add, I mean, Alex, obviously you know a lot about this, but I would add, just as someone who really paid attention to this kind of passively for the last couple of years, like on TikTok, because I have a following on there, so I was familiar with Joshua Block's videos and everything. I want to be really clear that like this was just like a young kid who clearly, you know, was on the spectrum, you know, had some issues like that, where he was living, I think, with maybe his grandparents or like his family.
Yeah, his
grandfather back on Long Island, and like blew up. Like the New York State of Mind video where he's in Times Square singing this was like went mega viral, and then he started to just repeat that format a million times where he was singing the song. And really at the beginning of him on TikTok, he was just like getting Starbucks and like being like a kid, like being a very innocent kid. Like, I think that's a really important aspect of the story, because if he goes from that to something very dark, you know, very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, as a person who only has sort of a passing understanding of this situation, where are his parents? Like, where's his family in all of this? Because it sounds like he's totally out of control. And
from like what you showed, I think his grandparents call him pretty regularly. It doesn't seem like his parents are really in the picture, beyond just disapproving of maybe some of the things he does. But it sounds like his grandparents are a little bit more involved in his life than his parents are at this point.
His mom's dead, and his dad his dad, like, according to him, like his dad beat the crap out of him and stuff when he was a kid, and like he's not in contact with his dad. And it's part of why he has all these, his relationship with his father really speaks to why he keeps relying on all of these like older men in his life. Originally, it was this guy, Michael Quinn, who kind of looked after him, wasn't related to him, was just this guy who was like a New York City downtown guy. And he owned a hot dog company, and he was just hanging out with Josh. And Josh really likes to be around this older daddy type figure.
Oh my God.
So how did Josh and Mr. Baste get connected? Like, what is their relationship?
So that's through Michael Quinn, actually. So what happened was, in February of 2024, I went out and made a doc on Michael Quinn and Josh Block. It was like a 30-minute piece. Josh Block gives tours around the East Village, and I filmed his tour to kind of show the interaction between him and his fans. And I interviewed this guy, Michael Quinn. And Quinn talked a lot to me about the hate that he was receiving and how everyone's trolling him and hating on him. He can't live his life normally. And the advice I gave to him was, look, man, you need to walk away from this thing. You are too like deep in this shit, and people are not going to leave you alone unless you wash your hands of the situation and leave Josh alone. Because everyone was saying, oh, you're enabling Josh to drink. You're getting him drunk, to Quinn. So Quinn, at the time, goes and passes him off to this guy who's really interested in collabing with Josh, who, you know, Mr. Baste, who was a live streamer, an IRL live streamer who also lives in the East Village, would see Josh occasionally and would kind of chase him down, trying to get content with him.
Could you just walk in the streets? I've only visited New York like once. Is it really that common to just run into people doing IRL streams? Like, is that something that just you come across?
If you know the places to hang out, certainly.
In the East Village, especially.
That is terrifying. Chicago, like, there's a lot of people in Chicago, but no one here is like TikTok stream poisoned. Like, I feel like New Yorkers and LA. Sorry, no offense to the New Yorkers and LA people, but I have never witnessed anything like this in my life.
I like to go around and just put a camera in people's faces and scream at them at full volume.
So that's what it seems like when Mr. Bass first came across Joshua Block. I don't know if that was their first confrontation, Alex, but in your video you included
that's their first confrontation.
Their very first confrontation. It was literally just them like in front of each other yelling at each other. Like that's literally exactly what like Josh and Mr. Bass like we're doing that night. And I guess that was a good enough impression for both of them that they eventually became like partners for streaming, it seems like.
My name is Mr. Bass. I'm the world's greatest streamer. Why is this group walking past me?
Let's go.
Who are you guys?
Scram.
Who are you guys?
Scram.
You scram! You scram! How did you get so loud? And who are you, sir? Who are you? Everyone run! Mr. Bass! Mr. Bass on YouTube! And that was our first encounter, and I didn't understand what the happened. I didn't even know who he was. I don't even know if I knew his name. Who are you? You scream like a bitch!
Go away!
Who are you? And I'll go!
Go away!
Mr. Bass on YouTube!
I'm the king of New York.
And of course, Mr. Bass seems to be like, I think it's without question sort of taking him under his wing, giving him free alcohol, which gives him the incentive to hang out with Mr. Bass.
The hotel rooms also, he gets him these hotel rooms, and he like gets him booze, puts him in the hotel room. Josh doesn't have to worry about any of that. He can just get drunk and focus on the important things in his life, like getting drunk.
It's like this whole situation just really fucking sucks because like there's like, of course this is like a very like lolcow situation, but the thing I think that's most despicable about all of this is that Mr. Bass has essentially like groomed him and like captured him and is using him as like a pawn, and he seems to be getting away with it. I mean, it's not like Josh has he has his own ability to like do what he wants, but if someone with an addiction is like more likely, I don't know, if you're going to give someone with an addiction free alcohol, they're probably going to take it. And it really fucking sucks to watch the situation keep playing out. Are they still like together? Are they still like a combo to this day since that documentary dropped? So
very recent update as of like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago, they're on the outs. It's a complicated situation of how it got to that point, but the way it ended off was that the last time they saw each other, Josh was late to Mr. Bass's house, and Mr. Bass has this big portrait of Josh, and he took a knife and he started cutting it up, and that really pissed off Josh. And further than that, Mr. Bass got banned on party.com, and the CEO of Party sent Josh all around, keeping him out of New York for as long as possible to keep him away from Mr. Bass, and even putting someone new in charge of Josh, this guy Tony Bame, who is another, social media guy who's kind of a little bit more buttoned up about it. He's writing expense reports. He's doing lots of different stuff to make this a little bit more above board.
I mean, that's a relief to hear.
I'm just kind of shocked that there's no one. Like, I see people on the internet all the time being like, someone has to help Joshua Block. Because he's an adult. He can do what he wants. He does not seem emotionally or mentally equipped to be handling the life that he is.
Well, he quite clearly has no concept of money. We saw that throughout the documentary.
Yeah. I think at one point he says too, and I don't think it's a joke. I was reading some of the replies. Someone highlighted that at one point he says that I didn't know animals could get pregnant. It's like this guy, like he's very autistic. Like he definitely is like that level. Forgive me if I don't know how to properly talk about this, so forgive me. But he definitely seems like the level of autistic to like need someone assisting him in his life in certain ways, which makes what Mr. Bass doing like basically terrorizing him, letting viewers send in money to like give hate messages, make Josh listen to hate messages, just like anger him. Like Mr. Bass intentionally, like in some of those streams that you put in the documentary, it's like he was absolutely encouraging people to send money to
and
have
forcing him
people
to sit there,
and
forcing
listen
him
to these
sit there
things.
and listen to it.
Very awful fucking things to say to someone.
Let's back up a little bit, if you don't mind, before we get to some of that. So Alex had mentioned you film this interaction with, or you interview, what's his name? I can't remember.
Michael Quinn.
And you do this first piece on Josh Block. How do you get into the Mr. Based sphere? What's that like? And how did you get him to, how did you get him to open up the way that he did? Like, he just openly admits to crimes to you and stuff like that in like an insane way?
He was obsessed with me. These old, you know what the thing is like these old Jewish guys. I did a documentary on Jimmy Lee, who was a call-in guest on the H3 podcast. And it's another case
I remember
of
that dude. Yeah.
An old Jewish guy who who wasted his youth and now is wants to be famous on the internet. And they meet me. And I show this interest in them and follow them around with the camera, and they're obsessed with being friends with me. They want to be buddies. I have so much recordings of calls with Jason with Mr. Based, where he's just glazing me and being like, "You're so talented. You're going to make the best movie. You're going to show me to be such a rock star." The way I got in touch with him is, so in June, Josh Block and Mr. Based start really hanging out full time. June of 2024. And I'm like, okay, I look up Jason Itzler, Mr. Based's Wikipedia, and I'm like, now this guy is interesting. This guy is way more interesting than Michael Quinn or Josh Block. And I can clearly see a parallel already between him pimping this Natalia woman and him pimping Josh Block. And it's like the ultimate documentary opportunity. So I just reached out to him cold on Discord and was like, hey, I want to make a movie on you. I think you're incredibly interesting. And he was like, cool, what is your YouTube channel? And he looked me up and saw that I had over 10K subs and was like, great, come out tomorrow. And I just started filming with him every day.
How much time did you spend with him?
I filmed for 3 weeks, 8 days over the course of 3 weeks.
That seems, it's a lot of time that you spend with him, but it seems to me that that's still a short amount of time for him to there's a point in the documentary where he which I thought was very funny, where he's like, you're not recording, right? And you're like, no, I won't record. And you're recording.
That was the phone call. Yeah, that was the phone call.
Where he openly admits to, so there's, let's back up. Maybe let's talk about that. He may have possibly killed somebody. And he kind of
if you ask me, I would say that he 100% did kill someone and that I proved it with facts.
I would not. I wouldn't
he
disagree, because he kind of admitted it to you in this documentary, which was the fucking craziest thing. Can you tell us about that?
So when I was shooting the film, to explain that first, I have to explain to people what TTS is. If you're not familiar, TTS is text to speech. So people who are sending these horrible messages to Josh Block, for example, they have to pay about $20 to get a message to read out of this little speaker that Mr. Based is holding. And you can pay to send any message.
Grandpa hates you. Grandpa hates you.
If you don't have anything nice to say, don't leave a TTS.
Do you like the TTS?
They can be very mean on it.
Can pay for everything we need to do.
Yeah.
We like it, right?
I do, yeah.
Better than getting a job. Ha! They can pay for everything.
Right.
Your grandparents are disabled niggas. They just want to control.
Why'd you call them disabled?
His grandparents are beautiful people.
Your grandpa and Heil Hitler.
They said disabled N-word.
And you know what? They gave us money.
Josh sent $20. Disabled. My foot disabled. My foot unemployed. Rat saved my foot.
Oh, turn that off.
So when I started hanging out with him, when Josh Block wasn't there, because there was a lot of times that I'd be filming with him and Josh Block wasn't there, he would get TTS donation messages saying, Alex, are you going to talk about Julia in the documentary? Are you going to talk about how Jason killed someone? And I was like, I don't know anything about that, but that's interesting. Jason, what can you tell me about that? And he's like, I didn't do it. And I was like, this guy's a multi-time felon. If he says he didn't do it, he probably didn't do it. I mean, he was, by the time that this case occurred in 2008, he had already been away to prison. He was already out of prison for the first prostitution ring and for the drug smuggling. So I was like, he's a multi-time felon. You'd think that's like a prime target for the police in a murder case. But as I started editing the documentary, and really looking into some of this stuff, I started to realize that there was a lot of inconsistencies between the stuff that Mr. Based would say to me and the testimonies I would get from other people, the police reports that I would FOIA from Miami Beach Police Department, all kind of told a very different story than like what he told. First being of which that like he said, I only met this girl for 20 minutes. Well, the security camera footage shows that she goes up to his apartment and she's there for over 3 hours. So what happened was I start looking into all of that. The first day of me editing the documentary, I called Mr. Based's roommate at the time, this guy Zoltan Prepsent. I call him on the phone and I talk to him about everything. And he seems really terrified of Jason. And I'm like, that's really weird. And right after that call, because I was actually live streaming it on YouTube, I was like live streaming my whole editing process. Right after that call, Jason calls me after I'm not live anymore. And I was like, this is going to be an interesting call. I got to record this. So I go and they sit down to record it. And that's when the call happens where he says, you're not recording me right now, right? And so after he heard me talk to his roommate, he started to get nervous and he's like, this guy's going to look into this. I need to tell him, everything just so he hears it from me. He's trying to like get ahead of it. And in doing so, he accidentally admits to some stuff that he shouldn't have, like that he purchased this GHB and he gave it to this girl. And that he doesn't see that as murdering her. He sees it as manslaughter at best.
And if I remember correctly, the investigation at the time when they were trying to figure out try to like get him implicated in the murder, they could never prove with evidence that he bought.
They couldn't charge him because they didn't have proof that he was the person who gave it to her or them.
So I didn't find that out until the day before he hit me in the head. And what happened was.
Yeah. So okay. Can you explain that?
We'll get to that part.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was every single day. I was live streaming on YouTube, editing the documentary live, and also like doing calls with the private investigator, doing a call with the victim's mother, who every single one of them saying the private investigator who's on the case for 15 years says there is not a doubt in my mind that Jason Itzler is the one who did this. And like, it's pretty inflammatory content. Like it's for live streaming content. People are like, oh, he's like solving a murder live on YouTube. And Mr. Based is getting progressively angrier. And I won't come to his house to film anymore because I'm worried about what he's going to do because he's getting pissed off. One day he calls me and he says, I've had enough. I know you're out to get me. You won't even say to your chat that you like me. I have nothing but nice stuff to say about you. And your live chat asks what you think of me and you won't say that you like me. And
I think it's
low-key anti-Semitic. Low-key anti-Semitic. I just want to say it here.
I think it's...
I stand with my people always.
So you're saying you stand with Jason? He's Jewish, right?
No, he stands with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hey, what do you mean?
I think it's stunning that like he genuinely, even up until this point, still was like, yeah, this Alex guy likes me. That's why he wanted to film me, because he wants me to be successful. Like
that's basic narcissist stuff.
To be fair, I was about to say like that's some shit that I would do for sure.
So he gives this. Let me finish that thought. He gives this GHB to his roommate and this young woman, and she ends up dying. What is GHB for the record? I thought that was like a
gamma hydroxybutylate.
It's like a roofie type drug, or
it is like a liquid roofie.
But he also claims that he takes it. He roofies himself during this.
So here's what happens. So he crashes out on me. He's like, you are not a real journalist. You're not a real documentarian. If you don't get the FOIA from the Miami Beach Police Department, that FOIA will prove that I'm innocent. So I get the FOIA. And in there, it has the testimony from Zoltan, his roommate, the testimony that Zoltan didn't want to give to me on the phone. And what it says is that night, Zoltan and Julia walk into the apartment, which that's what the security camera footage shows, that they both walk upstairs. Julia Sumnicht is the woman who was killed that night. And they walk into the apartment. Jason's already sitting on the couch drinking GHB. He offers them a sip. He offers a sip to Zoltan. Zoltan takes a sip. Julia takes a sip, a small sip. And then Jason starts to read aloud to them from a book that he's working on. That's his memoir. And Zoltan falls asleep.
I'm sorry, working on his memoir while he's roofing himself alone on the couch. As one does.
Doesn't do that. Take a little forget me now, and then you write the same passage over and over again.
Oh my God. Okay.
So
Jesus Christ.
So he's reading to them aloud. Zoltan falls asleep. When Zoltan wakes up, Julia is intoxicated, and Jason is in the corner vomiting, and he's naked. Julia says she wants to leave. Zoltan walks Julia to her apartment that's across the street. While on the way up to her apartment, Julia takes some photos of herself. She immediately collapses in bed and dies right afterwards. Jason later tells Zoltan that same night he performed cunnilingus on Julia. So what I believe happened, that is the unsaid thing in this police report that I don't even really mention in the film, is that here's the order of events. Jason drinks the GHB. Julia, according to Jason and Zoltan, only took a small sip and didn't really want to drink it. Somehow it spiked into her water bottle that she was carrying with her. She gets intoxicated off of GHB. Jason starts to rape her by performing oral sex on her. Then he realizes that she's on her period, and he starts vomiting. And this is corroborated by Jason telling Zoltan that she was on her period, and by the police finding a used tampon back at the apartment that she's staying at. So Jason starts vomiting because period blood is disgusting. Everyone knows that if you're doing that and you see blood, you got to start vomiting. It's the only thing you can do.
Of course. Yeah.
And she died. And Zoltan immediately goes to Jason and he's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? They lawyer up. Zoltan talks to the police. Zoltan gets immunity for talking to the police. Jason never says anything. So the police report says at the end, in 2019, they finally kind of marked the cases as cold. The final report says, we were unable to determine with evidence who knowingly and intentionally purchased and or provided the GHB to Miss Julia Sumnicht. And Jason says to me in that phone call that he's the one who did it. So I'm like, boom, that's the case, folks.
That's like the biggest smoking gun to ever just be uttered on a phone call. I feel like that is crazy. He admitted
it's like
that.
The Jinx. It reminded me so much of The Jinx, where Robert Durst confessed to the murder in the bathroom.
What came of it? Did the police?
You've been in contact with her family and everything, right?
I've been in contact with her family. So here's what came of it. So the day after I get that FOIA, I call Jason, and I'm like, I go live, and I'm like, can someone tell, Jason, I need you to comment on this. Doesn't answer. So I go kind of like TMZ, and I just am waiting on St. Mark's by this restaurant called Mary Lou that's nearby his place. And I'm just waiting on St. Mark's, just on a public sidewalk. And eventually he walks out of his place to go walk his dog or something. No, he wasn't with his dog. He was alone. He goes outside, I guess, to stream because he had his selfie stick with him. And he sees me, and I say, Jason, tell the truth. And he walks right up to me, and he grabs my camera. I have a little hard drive in the top of my camera that it records to, and he pulls the cable out, and he holds it by his side, and then he drops it on the ground, and he tries to grab the lens of the camera. And I'm just trying to pull the camera away from him. And as I'm doing that, I'm like, hey, like trying to put some distance between me and the camera and him. And then he grabs me by the back of the shirt, tries to trip me onto the ground. And when he can't do that, he just swings up from the bottom with all his might and whacks me in the head with the selfie stick. And it split my whole head open. And then he just ran. He booked it as fast as he could.
Jesus. So how many stitches did you end up getting?
16 stitches in the forehead.
That's crazy.
But not before, folks. Not
before appearing with friend of the show, Keemstar.
Yeah, not before going on lolcow Live. Because I shit you not, I post in my Discord the picture of me with the bloody face. I posted in my Discord. All of a sudden, it's everywhere. Like someone posted it outside of my Discord, and it's on Twitter, and it's on Reddit, and everyone's saying that's fake. That's not real because of how much blood there is. Or they're saying that I rubbed it all over my face. When really I was running like this. I was just running after him like this. And so yeah, Keemstar calls me right away and is like, you need to get in front of this because Jason's already saying that you attacked him. And I'm like, oh shit. Like I haven't even been stitched up yet, and I already have to like go defend myself in the court of public opinion on the internet because all these people are already saying that I deserved it by being outside his house. I'm on a public sidewalk. But it's like these internet, these like right-wing IRL watchers are so amped up about the idea of like a liberal journalist filmmaker being attacked, and the fact that I screamed so loudly. They couldn't help but just like jump on it. So I went on Keemstar, and he was like, "Are you aware that you screamed like a bitch?" And I was like, "Yeah, thank you for that."
God, I fucking hate that twerp.
I cannot believe that Keemstar is still, this is just an aside, but that dude, I do not know how this guy is still at all relevant. It blows my fucking mind that he's been around for like 2 decades almost exactly on the internet and is still just as relevant
Shout out
to this
Keem,
day. Yeah.
friend of the show.
Like it's I don't know, something I'm not gonna
Kabuki
say.
old heads will remember that when we got asked a question during one of the Q&As that Keemstar was my #1 ultimate prize guest. So maybe someday we can make it happen.
We could absolutely have him on.
I at one point almost tricked Keemstar and what's his name, Francis, the Boogie 291488 guy. I almost tricked them into like getting me on their show. I don't remember what I was even saying at this point. This was like over a year and a half ago, but I was talking to Francis. Is that his actual name? I don't care.
Boogie.
Boogie. I was talking to Boogie for like a week, and it got to a point where I like was talking to him for long enough. We were having like a back and forth conversation, and I'm like, I don't even want to do this anymore. Like this guy is actually just like kind of sad. Like this is like,
yeah,
this
June.
is not just like, yeah.
Have you ever watched
and I was like, I can't.
Content?
I like haven't recently,
yeah.
But I was like at a certain point, I'm like, I can't even fucking do this. I just feel bad for all of this. This is just, it sucks. It just really sucks. That whole world of content really fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's my whole life for the past year. It's terrible. I hate it.
Yeah, it's really bad. But so has there been like a reopening of this investigation since you got this smoking gun on him?
So I reached out to Miami Beach, the guy who was the sergeant on the case at the time, back in 2008, became the captain of the police. Shocker. I reached out to him about it. He remembered the case. He said, I'm retiring. I'm passing this off to this guy from Major Crimes. So I was in touch with him, and he's like, I can't listen to the recording because you're sending it as an email attachment. And I said, okay, well, like, how can I play this for you? And he said, come in person to Florida and play it for me. So that's kind of where we're at, is I need to go down to Miami Beach and play that recording for them. But I'm going to go down there because I'm going to do a MAGA rap documentary.
Oh, Alex, can I come with you? Alex, can I come with you to do that as your attorney?
Yeah, totally.
So wait, what Alex didn't mention very importantly was after Mr. Based whipped him in the head with the steel like club, I was on the telephone calls with him when we were on the phone with the Manhattan DA's office.
Yeah, I didn't know if you're like you're coming out.
I'm
as,
I'm doxing myself. Yeah, yeah.
What?
No, I don't
So
care.
you're a part of this case too. Holy
Oh
shit.
yeah, I'm behind the scenes.
Why couldn't he listen to it? Is it just because he doesn't know how to open an attachment, or is it because
No,
there's
there's
some
rules about that.
rule
It's the
about
same
it?
thing with the Manhattan DA's office. They have to send you something like it's called a Danny box. It's their own version of Dropbox. It's just like they have rules about that. They don't want to get like hacked.
So so how is Jason's like countersuing you or suing you for defamation at this point? How is he even, what's his case for that? When I heard about that, I was like, oh, we probably won't be able to talk to Alex Novell for this episode, but you're here, you're talking to us about this. So clearly
Well,
it
I'm
doesn't
not
seem
saying
that
anything. I'm not saying anything that I haven't already said, you know.
okay.
And it's like I believe this, all of this is true. I've proven it with facts, and I've proven it with, like, the thing about defamation is like there has to be this malice proven, and there has to be, Lolo can speak better to this than I can as an attorney, but like, you know,
well,
with
the truth
defamation-
the truth is an absolute defense to defamation. So, I mean, in terms of the facts of like what it was in that police report and what Jason literally said to you on the telephone, you know.
And the I think something that's really important that I included as evidence for the anti-slap and the defamation is that the private investigator says to me, there's not a doubt in my mind that Jason Itzler is the one who did this. I mean, that's like, you know, when I'm hearing that as a filmmaker, it's like, okay, well, there you go. It's like you've got more people corroborating this, saying that in an absolute way. So what happened with the whole lawsuit thing was that he's been arrested multiple times after hitting me in the head, because there's this thing called an order of protection that gets put in place when there's like an assault case in Manhattan. It's part of like the bail reform system that they, instead of like putting these guys in prison or sending them to Rikers Island for assaulting someone, they release them on their own recognizance, and they put something in place called an order of protection that makes it so he can't contact me via third party. He can't go on his stream and say, here's Alex Novell's phone number, which he's done a couple times. So yeah, he violates that. I have a live screening in Brooklyn for the documentary. He paid a bunch of people to show up and scream the N-word and that Mr. Based is innocent.
So the second part I get, but why the N-word? What is that? Why?
Yeah.
What does that do for you?
That's not going to help your case at all.
Yeah.
That it will only hurt you. That is crazy. These people are some of the dumbest fucking people. And that like goes to like what all of this is about at the end of the day. This is like all just content to people. Like Josh Block's life is content. Mr. Based at one point says, Josh is the best content I have ever had. And that chilled me to my core.
Yeah.
To talk about someone as content and this not human is terrifying to me.
But I think, you know, the thing is, like, I totally agree, but I do think it is like this funhouse mirror to all of ourselves as well, in a way, because there is so much consumption of this
who's
stuff.
watching it?
And I mean,
it's
so
very
many
popular.
people online, right, are watching this shit. And I was thinking about Josh specifically because I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about like, oh, he became an alcoholic and was drinking all the time. There are like entire accounts on TikTok that have hundreds of thousands of followers that just track how much Josh is drinking. And there's more than one of these accounts. And they'll
God,
go
that's
through a video
so
and they'll be like, oh, this
odious.
is how much he's drinking in a day. Like there is the audience element to this as well. Like we can talk about how despicable it is. Of course it's despicable, but there are just people loving this shit, like eating it up.
Can I also say there is a guy out there named World of Lawsuits, and he dresses up. He's like a guy in Kentucky who dresses up like Josh Block, and he goes live on TikTok and like does like a talk show, like a nightly podcast about what's going on in the wonderful world of t-shirts while dressed as Josh Block.
My God. I think like
None of that
back in the
surprises me
day,
because I was front and center for all the Chris Chan stuff. You know what I mean?
that's like sadly always been a function of the internet. It feels like, at least ever since like video and like message boards have become a thing. I think like one last question on specifically that, and I do want to talk more about like that part of the like internet, like the lolcow internet. But so you were in this world, like filming and talking to these people for like, you said like 3 or so weeks. Did it ever feel like, how did you like, how do I put this? Basically, it seems this is a really hard conversation and topic to broach, because as we were just talking about, there's so many people invested in the like self-destruction of these people's lives. You don't want to contribute to that. Did you ever feel like weird or like
Just
worried
being in the
when
ecosystem? Does
like,
that
yeah,
ever
Or
feel
complicit,
concerning
I
to
guess
you?
would be the question.
Definitely
Complicit,
not
yeah.
complicit, because I always kept this degree of separation between me and Josh Block. Like, I was never contacting Josh Block saying, okay, Josh, time to film. I was just there to film Mr. Based. And if Josh Block happened to show up to stream with him, then that's great for the documentary. But not my overall goal is not to interact with Josh Block a bunch. And what's so funny about, I spent 3 weeks and whatever filming with Jason, with Mr. Based, he sends those people to my screening to harass me. I was like, this whole group is really interesting too. I go and make a documentary on them. They all live in a house together called Mold Mansion.
Yeah, I was gonna watch
Mansion?
that. I was gonna watch that.
The guys that said the N-word. Let me hang on. The guys who
One
said
of
the
the
N-word.
guys is a guy who pooped on Nancy Pelosi's driveway and weighs 497 pounds.
Caleb,
Do they
No,
live
I
in,
just.
do they live in New York City?
They live in Queens, yeah.
What the fuck?
Mold Mansion?
Mold-
is
Are they
fucking
like
mansion?
Dime Square people? Like, are they conservatives? Who are they?
They're conservatives, but not in like a real way. Like they're conservatives in the way that like they do it for the memes, but they don't actually vote.
Oh yeah, so they do it to
Conservatism
own the
just
libs, but
provides
they
them
don't
an
do it for any real
opportunity
reason.
to cause harm to people.
Essentially, that's what it sounds like. It's a like hype house for like the most evil people imaginable. It sounds like.
I mean, they sound awful, but respect to the dude who shat on Nancy Pelosi's.
No, he's really funny. He's a really, really funny guy. And he's the one who got me the interview with Ice Poseidon when I was in Korea. He's a sweetheart.
I also just love the name Mold Mansion. That's just, I don't know. These people are fucking ridiculous. But I think like just this like broader sphere of like these influencers and like content creators, and like specifically it seems to be more common in the streaming age, where they'll just self-destruct their entire life for content. Like I saw
That's
this
the
is like
content.
that's the content. Making content of your own self-destruction is like sort of an evil of this world. Like it terrifies me that this is like a very normalized, maybe not for most of the world, but it's become a more normalized thing. A lot of people engage with this clearly because it makes them money. I saw this clip of some Twitch streamer about 2 years ago. I will always remember this, of basically he like blindfolded himself. He like put himself in like a closet, and basically you could donate money to like terrorize him. He had like contraptions in
Abu
this
Ghraib.
closet. Yeah, literally. And it's like watching this person torture himself and have people pay money to increase the like different degrees of torture inflicted upon this person. And like all of these people, it is like, we need to have like a DARE program for kids to be like, no, you don't want to be an influencer. Don't become a YouTuber. Don't become a Twitch streamer. This is like poison to your mind.
Dude,
I
it's so real. My son is 10 years old and he is on some real PG stuff on the internet, but he's like, how old do I have to be to stream? And I'm like, at least 13, because that's the law. And then he's like, are you sure I just can't do it anonymously? Like wear a mask or something? And I'm like, already that sounds like freak shit. And also no, fucking no, dude.
I saw a study done it was pretty recent this year, done on like polling. I don't know how it was exactly polled, but it was like it was like polling kids like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the most common choice by almost a majority, like over 50%, YouTuber / streamer for kids. Like when I was a kid, like we were like we were not talking about shit like that.
It's the new basketball star, you know. It's like people are like rock star. It's like people used to want to be those things, and now they.
But those require like a certain level of skill that like I think streamer is so attainable to young kids because they're like, this person gets paid to sit around and have fun, and that's like not something that we ever had like in our minds as kids, like that you could get paid to sit around and have fun. You have to pull yourself up by your goddamn bootstraps.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's like, and it's like a really complicated thing because like in this like era that we're in, media and like entertainment and like journalism and all these sort of things have been democratized due to the internet. And like that's like a really beautiful thing that like gives a lot of opportunity to so many more people that would not ever have that opportunity, especially as places like CNN and all of these like New York Times are just like dog shit. They're awful like propaganda right-wing rags. Washington Post, the list goes on. So like we really do need this sort of like democratization of media online. But then then there's people like fucking Mr. Based and Ice Poseidon who just essentially like their content is terrorizing themselves, other people in their lives, and just like greater society. And I don't know. It's been something I've viewed as like very dangerous for especially kids, but just like the broader society for at least a couple of years now. And I like, especially with this like Mr. Based World of T-shirts thing, it's like really brought back in front of my mind just how dastardly and evil this can be.
And their fans, like, you know, what's crazy about this is when you think about the fans of this stuff, you're usually thinking about these basement dwelling, like fucking weirdo looking people. But the fans of Josh Block and Mr. Based are like the most popular kid at your college, the most popular kid in your high school. You see Josh Block go around and you've got these white, like blonde, very like, you know, American looking kids who are really interested in having a drink with their favorite like lolcow. And it gives to me like the kids who in school who would bully the autistic kid, the popular kids who think it's so funny to pretend to be friends with the autistic kid in school who doesn't know any better and realize that they're all laughing at him.
Yeah, that's what it also feels like too. Whenever I've like, there's some of the videos of people confronting him in the streets. It seems like so many of the people that are interested in him are just like wanting a reaction of some sort.
They're gawkers. They want to see what he's going to do next. They want to get a rise at him. Because also a thing that I don't think we've mentioned is that Josh Block can lose his temper very easily. It's sort of like he can get really upset. I think because
that's why he's famous is because he's really
is that
easy to
people
rile.
want to encourage him to have an outburst. And if you get, it's like you get this bespoke.
If you put the quarter into the machine, he'll say something funny, right?
Exactly. And the level of cruelty of both Mr. Based and the people who like regularly watch his show, watch Josh Block, like it makes me feel really bad for him. And I know that there's like plenty of people in the online sphere who are worried about this kid and like are constantly keeping up with it. But it just doesn't feel like nearly enough is being done to take care of him.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you gave that update of him being at least surrounded by someone a little bit more competent and normal. Do you think Josh is like going to be in a much better spot going forward, especially as you don't think so?
He's hanging out with Jack Doherty now.
I don't know who that is.
Jack Doherty,
no fucking
he's basically like Mr. Based, but at the beginning of his journey, he's like Jack Doherty is like this OnlyFans pimp who you don't remember he crashed his McLaren in the rain. It was all over Twitter.
The other thing he's pretty famous for is
oh my fucking god, I do
for
remember
harassing people in public, and then
He's a
having his
bodyguard.
gigantic bodyguard threaten them physically if they try to, if they get into fights with him or whatever. So he'll like poke at people or like fuck with their stuff or call them bitches.
He beat up the
or whatever.
Island Boys.
He did?
How could you beat up the Island Boys? They're like those poor brothers were sucking on each other, and this guy just came in, bam, bam, bam.
Sidebar on the Island Boys. They are
what's up
Jeffrey
with the-
They're Jeffrey Epstein's kids, right?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Island Boys documentary.
Guys, when are we doing the Island Boys doc?
Let's do
You
it.
come
Can
to
somebody
Florida with me
listen
for
to
that
me? Pull up a photo of Jeffrey Epstein and the
I-
Island Boys.
Like the first time I saw the Island Boys, I was like, these two like people are weird. Why is everyone like making fun of these guys? Like they're just like kind of guys, like these white boys doing some ridiculous shit, and then it's like, oh, and they're into incest. Oh, they're like in love with each other. Okay,
I saw the
this
Da
is
Vinci
fucking
twins
weird.
wrestle each other in Chicago once in Logan Square.
I love those guys.
I gotta say, I
fucking
stand
love
those guys so
Are they-
hard. They're so good.
Are they
amazing.
Chicagoans? Are they
No.
from Chicago?
They're there's like an amateur wrestling thing that goes on in Logan Square. And I lived in Chicago for 9 months, and I went all the time, and I got the privilege of seeing the Da Vinci twins wrestle each other against the Bang Bros.
Wait,
That's amazing.
Did someone
I-
say that they're evil when I said they're good?
No, they're great. They're amazing.
great. They're
The
great.
Da Vinci twins are like the least evil, like online people of all time.
They're constantly
and I really
talking about
hope
trans rights. They're constantly talking about how they hate fucking AI. They're always saying like, take care of your mental health. They're doing it in the dumbest way possible. They're like, duh mental health? But like, I just find them irresistibly charming.
they're like actual real life grugs, like in the modern age, and they became influencers. And I do like them. I do find them quite charming, and I hope they always continue that.
Alex, is there anything, as we kind of round this one around home on this one here, that you didn't get a chance to say in your documentary or has happened since filming that you'd like to add or close this out with?
Yeah, totally. So I'm just gonna rattle them off like rapid fire.
Yeah.
So after the arrest for the sending people to say the M word at my screening, he gets arrested again for making a wanted poster of my face and offering people $1,000 to kill me.
What the fuck?
Then he had someone call me and after I filed a $250,000 lawsuit against him because I have like hospital bills for my head, and like he has been calling me a fake filmmaker, saying that like trying to affect my credibility and stuff, yada yada yada. Suing him for $250K. He has someone call me and say if I don't tell the police that I made everything up and drop all the lawsuits against him, that he will send someone to my address to kill me and rape my sister, who's the survivor of a school shooting.
Oh my
Jesus
fucking
Christ.
Then he gets arrested again for that, and now and he was charged with making terroristic threats, which is the biggest charge that he has gotten so far. That's a Class D felony. And then he sued me for defamation for saying that he killed Julia.
This guy sounds like a real jerk. I gotta say, this guy.
This
this
guy
guy
getting
sucks.
let out of
Mr. Base
prison.
guy, I think he's a fucking jerk.
Doesn't the judge see that he repeatedly violates whatever it's called, the protection
No
order?
contact,
and-
the order of protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll see
Would a
that.
normal judge after like the second time? just
Yeah, like, why isn't he
you're
in
not
prison?
coming out? Like, why is he?
You know,
why is
for
he in prison?
repeatedly violating.
That's such a
this.
complicated question, and it really changed how I look at the police and look at like the criminal justice system in New York. Not that it like I hate the fucking cops, don't get me wrong, but like the reason behind why people hate the cops and the reason behind why like the cops feel the way they do about like policing is because of what's going on at the DA's office with these cases. It's that they're settling them for less than they should so that they can keep their guilty convictions up. It's that they're releasing these violent criminals back out onto the streets and with releasing them on their own recognizance instead of holding them in jail until trial so that they can fill up the prisons with drug criminals. Drug criminals are so much more important to New York than violent criminals for some reason. But I talk to so many cops because of this, and like the number one thing that I hear is like I express to them how frustrated I am that they go and they arrest this guy and then he gets put back out right on the streets 2 days later, and they're like, tell me about it. That's our whole problem with the system too. But the answer to that is that these guys are going back out and they see someone who say beat up an old lady or something, and they take matters into their own hands and they rough this person up, or they misdirect their anger at the next minority that they see. And then that's the reason that we're in this situation that we're in with the police. But it really like made me have a much better understanding of like why things are the way they are. Other than that, just like all the cops are racist and they hate black people. It's like, here's what happened to the cops that traumatized them.
All of this kind of sucks.
Yeah, no, it sucks.
Oh my fucking God. This just like sucks. I mean, at the end of the day, I think, God, I really hope like World of T-Shirts Josh Block is able to like escape this like world of like being content for people. It's clearly not good for him, and I really hope the best for him and hope he gets out of this like ecosystem.
I don't know what world
it's genuinely so sad.
What world is there where this ends for him, not in like a horrible scenario? Like my ideal future for Josh Block is no phone, no internet, works at a grocery store or something like that, and has a quiet life. But like he at this point, because of everything that's happened, obviously won't be able to do that. And it's a very like Black Mirror-esque dystopian tale of this person who like, there's no coming back from this. There's no situation where like he ends up okay in the end. What will happen is he's going to drink until he can't drink anymore, or like he's going to end up in some sort of like mental hospital permanently. Or like, look at what happened with Daniel Larson. He's going to get so far gone that he will get like locked up like Daniel Larson did.
Fuck. Well, I hope not.
Where can people find you? Where can we direct our audience?
So you can find me on YouTube at Alex-Novell. Johnny Somali documentary screening is going to be going on at Star Bar in Brooklyn on June 29th. And we'll be dropping on YouTube shortly after that. It's going to be crazy. Really gets into the whole content machine of like nuisance streamers, but also the other side of it of there's these guys who cover these people. Like there's this guy Legal Mindset who hangs out with like Myron Gaines and is like hiding away in Thailand because he teaches people how to pick up Asian women on the internet and like how to get your passport in an Asian country. He's making $10,000 a month streaming, being like, Johnny's definitely going to prison. So it's like you've got this whole content ecosystem propped up by these guys who are kind of shady themselves. It's a very interesting story.
Looking forward to that one. Thanks for joining us, and